AITA for crying at my sister's baby shower after she announced her baby's name is the same as my late daughter's. I 32F lost my daughter Lily 4 years ago. She was only 3 years old when she passed due to a rare illness, and it broke me in ways I didn't know a person could be broken. I've been in therapy ever since, trying to piece myself back together. My husband, Daniel, and I have grieved in our own ways, but Lily will always be a part of us. Her memory is something I hold on to tightly, like a lifeline. Fast forward to now. My sister, Amelia 28F, is pregnant with her first child. She's been glowing, thrilled, and sharing every little detail about her pregnancy with me. I've tried to be supportive even though it's been bittersweet. Don't get me wrong, unhappy for her, but there's a part of me that aches knowing Lily will never have a chance to grow up or be an older cousin. Amelia recently hosted her baby shower. It was a big deal. She went all out, renting a venue and decorating it with pastel balloons and floral arrangements. I had mixed feelings about going, but Daniel encouraged me, saying it might be good to celebrate with family. So I went, armed with a smile I hoped wouldn't crack. Everything was fine at first. Amelia looked beautiful, and I spent most of the time making small talk with relatives and admiring the thoughtful gifts people brought. I was holding it together until the announcement. After all the games and presents, Amelia stood up and thanked everyone for coming. Then she said she had a surprise to share. She and her husband had chosen a name for their baby girl. She paused for dramatic effect before saying, "We're naming her Lily." The room erupted in applause and cheers. Everyone was smiling, congratulating her, saying how lovely the name was. But I froze. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My Lily. She said my Lily's name. I don't even remember standing up, but the next thing I knew, I was outside the venue, trying to catch my breath. I didn't mean to make a scene, but apparently everyone noticed my abrupt exit. Daniel came after me, and I broke down in his arms. I felt like my heart was shattering all over again. When I calmed down a little, I told him I wanted to leave. He agreed and went back inside to grab our things. While I waited, Amelia came out, looking upset. She asked what was wrong, and I just lost it. I told her that naming her baby Lily felt like a slap in the face. I asked her why she would do that when she knew how much that name meant to me. Amelia looked genuinely confused and said she wasn't trying to hurt me. She said she loved the name Lily and thought it would be a way to honor her niece's memory. She even called it a tribute. I told her it didn't feel like a tribute. It felt like she was taking something deeply personal and turning it into something that wasn't hers to take. She got defensive and accused me of making her baby shower all about me. She said I was being selfish and dramatic. That hit me hard because, honestly, I've been trying so hard not to let my grief overshadow everything else. We left after that, and I haven't spoken to Amelia since. My mum called me later to say she understood why I was upset, but also thought I overreacted. She said Amelia didn't mean any harm and that I should apologize for leaving so abruptly. My dad, on the other hand, is firmly in my corner and thinks Amelia was way out of line. Now I don't know what to think. Was I wrong for reacting the way I did? Should I have just sucked it up and let it go? Or was Amelia out of line for choosing that name without even giving me a heads up? Part of me feels guilty, like I should have been stronger and kept my emotions in check. But another part of me feels betrayed, like Amelia didn't consider how this would affect me at all. Am I the a-hole here? Update, 3 weeks later. After the baby shower, I decided to give myself some space from Amelia and the rest of my family. I didn't want to act out of pure emotion and make things worse. But as the days passed, I couldn't stop replaying the scene in my head, the announcement, the applause, Amelia's shocked face when I confronted her outside. I started wondering if I was being unfair. Did I misinterpret her intentions? Was I letting my grief cloud my judgment? So I reached out to my therapist and had a long session about everything. She reminded me that grief is complicated and that my reaction wasn't about ruining Amelia's day. It was about the deep, unresolved feelings I still have about losing Lily. She suggested I focus on how to communicate those feelings to Amelia in a way that wasn't accusatory but still honest. With that in mind, I called Amelia. It took me a few tries to get the courage, but eventually she picked up. I started by apologizing for leaving her baby shower abruptly. I told her it wasn't my intention to cause a scene or take away from her special day. She seemed hesitant at first, but I could tell she appreciated the gesture. Then I explained why the name Lily was so painful for me. I told her that hearing it felt like someone had yanked a bandage off a wound that still hasn't healed. I also admitted that part of me felt protective of the name, because it's so tied to my memories of my daughter. I even acknowledged that I might not have been fair to her because I let my emotions take over. Amelia listened quietly and then said she had no idea the name would affect me so deeply. She admitted that she thought it would be a beautiful way to honor Lily, but realized now that she should have asked me first. She also apologized for calling me selfish at the baby shower, saying she was caught off guard and didn't know how to respond in the moment. We talked for a while, and it felt like we were finally understanding each other. But then Amelia said something that surprised me. She told me that she and her husband had already started calling the baby Lily and didn't feel they could change it at this point. She asked if I could see it as a positive thing, like a way to keep Lily's memory alive in our family. I didn't know what to say. On one hand, I appreciated her sincerity and the effort she made to apologize. On the other hand, the thought of hearing that name at every family gathering, on every Christmas card, made my chest tighten. I told her I needed more time to process everything, and she said she understood. After we hung up, I cried for a long time. Not out of anger this time, but out of sheer exhaustion. Grief doesn't follow any rules, and just when you think you've got a handle on it, something like this happens and throws you back into the deep end. I've also spoken to my mum since then. She's been trying to stay neutral, but I can tell she's leaning toward Amelia's side. She told me she thinks this could be a beautiful full circle moment for our family and suggested I try to embrace it. My dad, meanwhile, is still firmly on my side and thinks Amelia should have picked a different name altogether. I'm stuck somewhere in the middle. I don't want to hold a grudge, especially with Amelia's baby arriving soon, but I also don't know how to completely let go of this hurt. Part of me wonders if I'll ever be okay with it. For now, I'm focusing on setting boundaries while I figure out how to move forward. I've decided not to be in the delivery room when Amelia gives birth. I need to protect my own heart, and I think that's okay. Final update, 3 months later. This will probably be my last update on this situation. A lot has happened over the past 3 months, and I've taken time to really reflect, talk things through with my family, and figure out where I stand. I appreciate everyone who's been following this journey with me. It's been incredibly emotional, but I feel like I'm finally in a place where I can share how it all unfolded. First off, Amelia had her baby. Little Lily was born a few weeks early, but thankfully, both she and Amelia are healthy and doing well. When I heard the news, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. I was genuinely happy for Amelia. Becoming a mom is a huge milestone, and I wanted to celebrate that for her. But hearing the name Lily for the first time in that context hit me like a wave. It felt both familiar and foreign, and I couldn't stop myself from crying. I decided to take some time before reaching out. I wanted to make sure that whatever I said came from a place of love and not raw emotion. A week after the birth, I sent Amelia a heartfelt message congratulating her and letting her know I was happy for her. I didn't bring up my feelings about the name. I wanted this moment to be about her and her baby, not me. She replied almost immediately, thanking me and sharing a photo of Lily. I'll admit, she's absolutely adorable, and it's clear Amelia is over the moon about being a mom. A couple of weeks later, Amelia invited me over to meet the baby. I was hesitant at first, but decided to go because I didn't want to let my feelings about the name create a bigger divide. When I arrived, Amelia was so welcoming, and she even took a moment to acknowledge how hard this must be for me. She said she hoped I could see Lily's name as a way to keep my daughter's memory alive in our family, not as a replacement or an overshadowing. That conversation was hard but healing. I told Amelia that while I might never fully reconcile my feelings about the name, I appreciated her being open and empathetic. We agreed that this situation is complicated and that there's no perfect solution, but we both want to prioritize our relationship as sisters. As for the rest of the family, opinions are still divided. My mom is completely smitten with baby Lily and keeps saying how wonderful it is to have a new Lily in the family. I know she doesn't mean it in a hurtful way, but every time she says it, I feel a pang in my chest. I've asked her to be more mindful of how she phrases things, and she's trying, though it's clear she doesn't fully understand how deep my feelings run. My dad, on the other hand, has been my rock through all of this. He's the only one who truly seems to grasp why this has been so hard for me. He's supportive of my efforts to make peace with Amelia while still respecting my own boundaries. Speaking of boundaries, I've set a few for myself to help navigate this new normal. For one, I'm allowing myself to take breaks from family gatherings if I feel overwhelmed. It's not about avoiding baby Lily, it's about protecting my mental health and giving myself the space I need to grieve and heal. I've also started seeing my therapist more regularly. She's been instrumental in helping me unpack the layers of grief, jealousy, and love that are all tangled up in this situation. One thing she's encouraged me to do is find new ways to honor my Lily's memory. I've started journaling about her, creating a scrapbook of our time together, and even planting a small garden in her name. These small acts have been incredibly healing and have given me a sense of connection to her that I felt I was losing. Looking back, I realize this experience has taught me a lot about family, grief, and forgiveness. While I still wish Amelia had approached things differently, I also understand that her intentions weren't malicious. She wanted to honor Lily in her own way, even if it wasn't the way I would have chosen. Am I completely at peace with the situation? No, not yet. But I'm working on it, and I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. Amelia and I are rebuilding our relationship, step by step, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. For those of you who've followed this story, thank you for your compassion and advice. It's been a lifeline during some of my hardest days. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm hopeful that with time, love, and a lot of patience, we'll all find a way to move forward together.